Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing about the Strait of Hormuz. It is important to state that the Strait of Hormuz at the narrowest point is about 21 miles, and this choke point is essential, is important to global oil and other commodities, just like heliums, fertilizers, and other commodities that are passing through the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz was not closed in the first place. The reason why the Strait of Hormuz was closed was because of the joint attack by the United States and Israel against Iran. It is important to state categorically that Iran stated it earlier that if United States should attack Iran, the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed. Perhaps, maybe the policymaker in the United States thought Iran was just bluffing. The Strait of Hormuz was closed, and since then the United States have made series of efforts to force the closure of the Strait of Hormuz open, but it is very obvious that it is impossible to achieve that through military means or with force. The only way out is diplomacy. And trying to exercise diplomacy, it has been a very big headache. And one of the major reasons why it is always failed between the United States and Iran to achieve peaceful means or a peace deal is because Israel is not interested in the peace deal. Israel is interested in fragmentation or disintegration of Iran. This is because Iran is a regional threat to Israel, and Israel foreign policy focus more on force, instead of focusing on diplomacy. And it is important to state that the national security of Israel is even better if Israel can go along with its immediate neighbor, the Arab nations, unlike trying to exercise the dominance by attacking every 6 months, annually, just like what they call the mowing the grass. It's expensive, it's not sustainable, and it leads to sense of resentment, which is one of the factors why we experienced the October 27 or 28, where the Hamas attacked Israel as a result of the sense of resentment. But diplomacy costs less, but is the best. So it is important to state that whenever President Trump is about to arrive at a kind of deal with Iran, President Netanyahu used to come up with some ideas that negate the peace deal. Although some analysts have stated that he is doing that because he do not want to face the corruption charges that is awaiting him. Why some argue that because the ICC, that is International Criminal Court, they want him. It has been declared like there's a warrant on him, active warrant. So the only way to elongate his tenure is to continue the war. Why some is of opinion that he wants to make sure Israel remain the only regional power, that after attack on Iran and Iran is fragmented and Iran is disintegrate, then Turkey is the next one. There are so many theories on the role that Netanyahu is playing in making sure the peace deal between the United States and Iran will never happen. And it is important to state that he did not just start this. He started it during the President Obama's regime. And President Obama was able to come up with a brilliant idea, which is JCPOA. That is the Big Five: United States, China, Russia, France, Britain, plus one, Germany, to come up with this brilliant idea of JCPOA, in which Iran will not attain the level of nuclear weapons with their uranium enrichment. And so as at then, some of those uranium enrichments that Iran had was moved to Russia. But President Trump in 2018 decided to pull out from the JCPOA for some reason that is still a mystery to me. After pulling out from the JCPOA, then introduced the policy of maximum pressure. But now the maximum pressure is now maximum drama. And the drama is not only being felt by the United States alone. The drama is being felt all over the world as a result of the inflation that the closure of the Strait of Hormuz have caused to different parts of the world. However, recently, President Trump announced that United States and Iran is about to arrive at a kind of peace deal. It is 95% almost done. Then, whenever this kind of statement or talks come up in the public discourse, then the market becomes favorable. Why some analysts felt this is a way for President Trump to be able to manipulate the market. Why some said, President Trump his policy is being interfered with by the Israeli policymakers or the lobby group in the United States. However, the policy inconsistency with President Trump through social, the message coming out from there sometimes contradicts what is in the actual peace deal. So this makes it difficult. An inability of Iran official and United States official to sit down by themselves to talk one-on-one, even with the fact that there is lack of trust between the two. So talking through the third parties like Pakistan is also a big barrier. And some analysts also said one of the major reasons why Iran decided to be negotiating with the United States indirectly is because if Iran official should sit to the United States directly or sit face to face, the United States can use millions of dollars to manipulate those officials. So by so doing, it's better to really negotiate indirectly, so there won't be any contact that some of the official is going to compromise, just like some said some of the officials in Venezuela, Maduro, they were bribed or they were given a lot of money, so they compromise. Some analysts also said that may be a major factor why Iran does not want to negotiate with the United States directly. However, it is important to state that we in the United States here, the policymaker, we have the ladder to get out from the hole that we are in, and we still have the shovel to go down deep the hole. But the fact remains that I do not see any military solutions to the war with Iran. The only solution here is diplomacy. Iran has demonstrated their capability during the first period of this last attack, in which Iran attacked all the Gulf states, the US military bases there. And I'm still thinking about how are we going to reconstruct those military bases after everything is over, if the peace deal is being arrived at. It is important to state that the nuclear deal is one of the major obstacles, because the United States red line is that Iran cannot have nuclear weapon, basic. And the Prime Minister, the Secretary of State, Rubio, stated it categorically like 2 days ago, that the basic line is that Iran cannot have nuclear weapon. That's it. The other objective, like regime change, reduce of ballistic missile, no support for proxy, I believe those are Israel objective. But the United States objective is that Iran cannot have nuclear weapon, basic. However, one of the challenges to this present deal is that Iran do not want to move out the enriched uranium, about 400 plus kilogram, to hand it over to the United States, because that shows a sign of weakness, that they are weak. And just like they did with the JCPOA transferring to Russia, they have not agreed to that, but they agreed to dilute the nuclear enrichment to the level that is just going to be for the civil use. Also, it is important to say that President Trump has criticized President Obama JCPOA, the peace deal that was agreed to in 2015, of giving back Iran the money or the asset that was frozen. But presently now, that may likely be what President Trump is still going to do. And that may be difficult after using that for campaign, and President Obama, peace deal is very weak. And it is important to state that during the second round of negotiation, second round of negotiation, President Trump already have a very nice peace, a deal with Iran, with Oman being the mediator. But Israel still come in between, and the peace deal was destroyed after the killing of assassination of the Ayatollah and some of his cabinet. Then that peace deal is not achievable now, because the Strait of Hormuz is now closed, which is causing inflation. In addition, the midterm election is coming in the United States in November. So that is going to affect President Trump in the House, as if the Democrats should dominate the House, it is very certain that they may want to impeach President Trump. So by so doing, and President Trump also realized that the global economy, the way it's going down, there is need to do something. But military action is not the solution to the opening or the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. I didn't see it. It's not possible. It is also important that Prime Minister Netanyahu too is having an election coming up. So President Trump understand that if he should continue this war, it's going to affect so many Republicans that they are aiming to go to the House. And also, experts have warned that if this war continues, then the catastrophe on the global economy can never be quantified, because now it is still manageable that some few months or few years, the global economy, the logistics can continue to flow. But when it comes down to the level that Iran oil is being bombed, and Iran decided to bomb all the Gulf states too, their oil, water desalination, and other products, is going to take long time for the global system to recover. That is going to lead to global recession or depressions. So this is a very sensitive matter, and this issue I pray that it doesn't lead to third world war. So diplomacy costs nothing. It doesn't cost a lot to apply diplomacy. But human nature, sometimes we know how devastating war is, but most time we choose to go to war. And many analysts have analyzed and concluded that for the United States, this is war of choice because Iran did not pose direct threat to the United States. Iran did not pose threat to the United States, although they may pose threat to Israel. So that is another topic for debate. So in conclusion, it is important to state categorically that with Iran-US war, there is no military solutions to it. All parties are going to lose, and the most devastating things is that it's affecting the global economy. So the earlier, the better. The earlier we come to realization that diplomacy is the answer, the better we apply diplomacy, putting ego to the side, putting whatever anybody is going to say. Like President Trump said, they're going to think he lost the war. So it is not a matter of losing the war. If diplomacy is applied, it's going to be a win-win game. Trust me. So it's going to be, Iran is ready to give and take. And I think, meeting in the middle is the best. So this is the time President Trump needs to put his foot on the ground and let Prime Minister Netanyahu realize on certain things. So that this time around, for the sake of global peace and security and global economy, so it is better to apply diplomacy, reopen the Strait of Hormuz. I know there are some other issues, just like will Iran be in control of the Strait of Hormuz? If Iran is in control and they are collecting about $2 million from one ship each, are they going to share it with Oman, or they are going to share it with other Gulf states? And Iran official just put it out that they are not towing the Strait of Hormuz, that what they are doing is that they are collecting money for environmental maintenance, which is another dimension. It is important to state that the only way out for the United States, Iran, and Israel with this war is diplomacy. Thank you.